What is even up? It's your boy Credman here with my boy Heckenstein. Welcome to the Hypnotic Hootout.
I always don't know what to do with my hands. I'm not sure if this is really doing it.
That's why.
We'll see. It will evolve into something, I'm sure.
Sure. So how are we all doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing?
Also very well, I think, most of
Excuse me. Yeah. That was very freeing. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very special episode.
Is it?
Yeah.
And how so?
We actually haven't talked the whole week.
That's true.
That's something. Then, yeah, we're both in relatively good spirits. It's very seldom.
That's true.
I don't have any pants on.
Nothing new.
So, it's gonna be upward from here, I guess. Also, I forgot my list, so...
Aha.
Gonna be free balling it. Is that the right term? Probably not right.
Well, it's probably the right term for that.
Right. No, I've been doing great. Really. I mean, I've got my shot. The good stuff. Still not better cell phone reception, unfortunately. No magnetic powers either. But it's BioNTech, so it's better.
Nice.
And thus I have pretty much had a relaxed week. Didn't feel anything, like didn't go on, as you know, on Wednesday I wasn't here to prevent getting sick here and then driving back
Home?
quivering like some quiver.
Shiver? The shivers?
Shivers, yeah. Yeah, but all was fine. I was a bit, they told me I shouldn't do any sports thingy, and I had worked out the day before. I was kind of sore already, and I still feel the arm as well, a little bit like here. I think because the soreness wasn't really ideal. But yeah, I didn't feel any weaker. So I just chilled at home, doing nothing, feeling good. Yeah, yesterday we installed a new tap in our kitchen.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was kind of complicated. I'm pretty proud that we managed to do it because the old one was so rusted shut that we couldn't get it off.
Nice.
So we had to rip the rubber out laboriously and then push it back. So at the top the little screw thingy was exposed, and then take a metal saw and saw it off to get it free. And now we've got a pretty cool new non-rusty. Yeah, it was kind of weird because the old one is like a metal thingy, just this basic tap, I guess, but it had a hole. It had the normal tap hole at the front, but it had one in the middle, tiny hole. I don't know how it's possible. It has to have rusted through or something. But there's a tiny hole every time you put water in it, it sprays on your hand. Just a tiny bit, but was annoying enough, and it didn't look good. And it, especially at the bottom, it was not quite dry anymore either. So it was really rusty and slimy and blah. Now it's all new, and I did it.
Wow.
Real household stuff. I mean, I had help from my flatmate, but I did the sawing.
Not bad.
Also watched some movies, played some games, but I guess we got to get to these.
Yes.
How about you? What was your week like?
I mostly watched stuff. I mostly watched Entourage.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I'm running out of things to watch because either I need to wait to watch it with someone, or I've just seen all the good stuff 1,000 times. So it's
and also you're kind of unwilling to try new stuff.
I'm unwilling to try stuff that doesn't look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look excellent.
Yes, I want excellent.
Yeah.
I want chill and excellent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But sadly, there's not enough of those. At least until the 23rd. 2 weeks.
When the new season of Ted Lasso is released. I hope it's not just episode 1. But it probably will be.
Well, let's hope it's a one and done thing.
Yeah.
And otherwise I will wait. No way I'm watching it 1 week at a time.
No?
Never. I don't even see how you can watch that 1 week at a time. That's like it's a 5-hour movie, that's how you can watch it.
Yeah. That's true. Have you ever watched it like not the whole season? No.
Never. And I only watch it in full.
How many times have you watched it? Like 5 times?
I think only 4.
Only 4. All right. Yeah, it's an excellent season. Series.
Yeah. And
an excellent season. Let's hope the next season is as excellent as the first.
So yeah, so I was kind of running dry. And then I remembered Entourage because I saw that Dawson's Creek is on Netflix now. And Dawson's Creek just... And I was like, do I want to give this a shot? I did eventually watch the pilot.
Okay.
I did not watch any further. I might, but it's already so terrible and I have no emotional connection to it. So...
Try the OC instead. I mean, if you're at that level, try the OC. Like the first couple of seasons is really not bad.
Is it cringy?
No. It's not. I mean... It's been a while, so
no, I mean like uncomfortable in the situations that it's always conflict and it's always uncomfortable conflict.
Oh, okay. I think it's a bit like that, yeah. But it's only getting really bad after season 3, and you don't need to watch that because like Marissa always gets into like trouble, and you're so annoyed with her that at a certain point you're saying like. You got it all. You're rich. You've got good friends. Like you are making new problems just for this series to survive. And then they killed her off. Then, the series got better apparently. But yeah, who wants to watch that then? She's kind of central.
I might give it a shot.
It's kind of nice. I think you might like it quite a bit.
It's possible. I mean, I imagine it to. It's a soapy, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's not that soapy. It's not soapier than the other stuff you regularly watch.
I mean, I did like Jane the Virgin. I mean, that's a very self-aware soapy. But and in Germany we have this series Doctor's Diary. And that's also full-on soapy, and so I imagine it would be something like that.
I don't think it's that soapy. It's got a quite comedy vibe as well. I mean, have you watched like Gilmore Girls and stuff like that?
That's the thing. Dawson's Creek is like Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
I have no attachment to it. It's something that a lot of female friends of mine back in the day were crazy over, and I just don't see it.
It's. I think it's a matter of the time. Like back in the day, that was completely unique. Like you have never seen anything like that on TV. Like good Fair music, enough. Young characters, like very good looking, of course. But like at a level, I think that was kind of because I don't know. Like most movies, you've got like old dudes. And then
Sure,
then
yeah, I
this young people thing started, and then
Yeah, I don't know, would I have liked this? Probably not. But I mean, I watched both. I think Gilmore Girls is more okay than Dawson's Creek. Dawson's Creek was, I mean, it's a mess.
where you just watched the pilot, right?
No, I watched the whole thing.
What?
No, not now, but
What you watch? Oh, okay.
back in the day. That's why I'm thinking of it, because back then my girlfriend at the time wanted to watch it, and I wanted to show her Entourage, and that's why I thought of it. Because then we watched one episode,
Nice.
turn-based
How
series
many-
watching.
How many did you watch on a day? Like, do you really switch back and forth on a single
I
day?
mean, eventually I would just finish the rest on my own. Like I watched most of Dawson's Creek by myself because obviously, I mean, she was studying in a different city, so I don't know if we would have gotten through a lot of that. I did sit through it. I remember being mildly entertained sometimes, mostly
Yeah.
just deeply cringing because it's so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also uncomfortable, like, for that the actors have to do that, and it's like,
Yeah, I don't get the appeal of that, to be honest.
it's messy.
Real, these, uncomfortable problems that are always like self inflicted and could be solved with just talking.
Yes, exactly that type of thing.
And that I can't stand. It's like horrible. And yeah, the Aussies got a bunch of that as well, of course. But not all, not just that. And it's got like good reasons for the people to not talk to each other. Like it's acceptable if there's an honest reason why you can't just tell someone the truth. Yeah. But many movies, many series, they can't manage to do that, and I hate it. I hate it with a passion. It's like one of the things that really ruins something for me is if I don't get why they're not talking. I'm like getting vocal watching it. Talk to him. What are you doing? No.
Yeah, it's the laziest way to create conflict.
Yeah, it is.
So yeah. So I saw that and I thought, nah. And then I thought of Entourage and I decided to watch it. I expected to hate it, but I fucking love it.
Damn it.
God, I love it. And it's so...
It's bad, right?
It is bad. And oh God, is it bad. Like,
oh God, yeah, I know.
It's crazy homophobic. And there's like even an actual... Like, I think that this transphobic episode exists as a hate crime. There is some stuff in there that's just absolutely 100% not okay. The whole thing is built on such a bullshit
fantasy.
Yeah, it's that machismo and like how cool stars are and all that shit, and it's very. I mean, it reeks of Mark Wahlberg because I feel like he's like exactly that. Also how he acts as himself in it.
He's involved.
Produced
by him? No.
It's produced by him. It's partially inspired by his life and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I mean, it's based on the experiences of the creator, Doug Allen, and Mark Wahlberg. So and the storylines are also the things that we know about. There's the movie that they make, Medellin, that then flops. They had a brilliant movie, then a huge anticipated flop. That's basically what happened to the Donnie Darko guy, who did Southland Tales after, which was a huge, massive flop of a movie.
Southland Tales.
We have never watched it. We have it on our list.
Yeah.
I have seen it. I kind of like it, but there's also a reason why I'm hesitant to watch it because it's tedious. And
all right.
It's like a Terry Gilliam movie. You're kind of glad that you've seen it, but it's kind of a slog to get through. But yeah, so that basically happened, that he was booed out of Cannes, and so that's what happens to them. And there's a bunch of these things that you pick up with the current problem of the season. It is there's also this thing where that director, Billy... Oh, hey, man, is here?
And hey, body.
Oh, yes. Hello. No bad. Where was I? I was somewhere with movies. Yes, right. That Billy Walsh, the crazy director who worked on both of these movies, he gets hired to adapt a book, but he produces a completely different script, if you remember that. And that's what happened with Adaptation, Charlie Kaufman.
Oh, okay.
So that's basically what they do. They're kind of retelling Hollywood stories in these things that are vaguely based on people that they know or stuff that happened to them themselves. And then, of course, fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's
so glossy and
it's pure fantasy. But that's also the part that I like. Like the characters, I'm not sure I like them because they're shitty, toxic people. But I'm still like...
except Turtle, I think. He was.
Turtle is the very worst.
Oh, okay.
He's so rapey. It's so uncomfortable. It gets better over the season, but he's absolutely the worst. He's always trying to coerce women and all kinds of... It's so weird and creepy, and he fully does the "but I'm the nice guy" thing. And
that's how I remember him. I wonder why. Oh man. Yeah, that's the reason I don't want to watch it again, because I do feel guilty enough for having so much joy from watching it back then. Even then, knowing that it's bullshit, even then we knew that it's like complete fantasy. We didn't know like how deeply offensive it is, because as white guys, we weren't offended by.
That is especially something that I felt with the homophobia, because so much happens all the time where that's like even like literal plot points that the script is too gay and things like that. And watching it now and it's I feel like I'm gaining like a different kind of understanding for how
sorry
for how I don't even know what to call that, but how huge of a problem, like, and why it's such a huge problem, like this hateful point of view that is so casually. There's something about that where that's so. I'm lacking the words, but there is. I'm only seeing this now because back then I did not. I thought that was just making jokes.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like vicious because it's so casual, but that's what makes it even more problematic. That it's such a nonchalant, like such a normalizing way to include homophobia in just the manner you speak. And the things you make
also just how that must be like to hear that. This kind of hatred, this disdain for just who you are. Like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And how really destructive and... Yeah, it's an interesting thing to look at. But I think it works for me anyway, because it's not really about the characters. It's not deep at all. It's not about character development or anything. It's purely lifestyle porn. And that works so well because that's exactly what I wish for. Have that easygoing of a life. Everything always works out. Sure, the stakes are high in a way, but in a very low risk way.
Yeah, you keep your house, and your cars. So maybe
you want to make this money. You want to have a career, but also it's going to work out because they're just so good and so good at gaming the system and whatever. And it's like this pure fantasy, and at that it's so good. And so I love it despite all the horrors of... Yes, my wife is having a choppy connection. Well, that old struggle. But I think in the end it kind of, loses quality, if you can say that. The 7th season, I think, is a huge misstep. Because that's basically a serious season where I don't know if you watched the last 2.
I'm not sure. I know that at some point, I think I watched everything. Yeah.
At some point he gets addicted to drugs, to painkillers, because he had an accident while doing a stunt that he was
Yeah.
talked into. And then he dates a porn star.
Yeah.
And he becomes he's an addict, a full addict. And he becomes controlling and just unpleasant. And they're trying to have an intervention. He just fully,
Is based on true Mark Wahlberg?
No, not Mark Wahlberg, I don't think.
No?
I mean, he went to prison when he was young because he beat an Asian security guard blind, I think. I think he beat him so hard that he's blind in one eye or something like that. He turned his life around with music and then acting and stuff. So that's basically the Mark Wahlberg story.
It's great that some people get a second chance, huh?
Yeah, and such a second chance, huh? Yeah, well, but I mean that's like a typical thing, right? People get rich, they get too rich too quick, they don't take responsibility, feel too powerful, nothing can harm them, they can do what they want. They're still not happy because obviously everything's broken and the stress and stuff and the drugs.
They don't get to learn how to be happy or how to be reasonable, and I think it's really a bad scene to grow and to kind of learn stuff, because like everybody's it's such a toxic place, I think, the whole Hollywood and whatever California scene stuff. Aren't we lucky?
But yeah, so I think with that they really went in the wrong direction, because the only appeal of Entourage is the easygoing. Yeah, sure, the stakes are high if you get to pursue your dream or not, but that's really low. And it's about them all being together, but in season 7 everybody's doing their own thing, and then this guy's crashing, and the whole season is just unpleasant. And season 8 is just rushed.
Yeah, everything come back right, and then something with a plane and stuff, I remember.
And suddenly Vince wants to get married because he meets a journalist who doesn't like his charm or something. It's super. It wraps up in such a fast-tracked and dumb way. And but I still liked it enough that I watched the movie right behind it, and it's actually just another episode to kind of wrap everything up. And it's not very good, but I love it.
Yeah, it's a really guilty pleasure.
Oh, for sure.
And I felt way too guilty to to try since forever. But maybe.
But also in a way, that's what I've been thinking about, what I think was especially the focus in the movie. Rich people, like these super rich people. That's such a different kind of sphere, like a different kind of world. And I find that both so interesting, insane, and terrifying that exists people with that much power who live in a completely different, there's completely different rules that exist there. And it's just a handful of people who are that rich and that powerful.
Yeah.
And it's it's like an eldritch force. It's terrifying and unknowable and just ridiculous.
I am not really afraid. Maybe I should be, but do you feel is it like a kingpin situation where I don't know. I personally, for me, it sounded like if you say an eldritch force, you're afraid, like you would be from a gangster who controls everything, and you can't go to the police, you can't do anything if this person wants you dead or suffering. There's nothing you can do against.
Yeah, that, but times a billion. Because that's how much more powerful they are.
I guess they are, yeah.
I mean, I guess it's also the thing that I really that makes me uncomfortable in South Africa. Those, a friend of mine used to live in one of these security estates. And that's such a weird experience, as you get through a gate to get in an area of gated communities. So it's not just a gated community; it's like a gated community of gated communities.
Yeah.
And then when they go to work, they drive out of a couple of gates to get into work. They drive through some gates to go shopping. They drive through some gates to get onto that mall area and all that stuff. And it's like you're basically like these islands of security in different worlds that you just kind of jump across from and live in a completely different world than the people around you.
For sure.
And that already makes me so like, ugh. And it's also weird because being there, it's like you're in a concentration camp, because like literally everything has these brick walls with the diagonal barbed wire, electric, all kinds of, and it's basically like you're walking through a high security prison basically. And it's very strange. And I guess that's the thing, just, the very, very whole world version of that.
Yeah. It's like a piece of perfect world they built for themselves. I remember I think I could use one. Your parents had a room there as well when they were visiting, right? And there was like palm trees around, and there was a tortoise walking around, like a big one, like a big old one, and you felt so safe and secure. And outside kind of the opposite. I haven't seen any animals, maybe like some rabid dogs or something, and no trees. Everything's brown and dirty, and I don't know. I did not feel secure at all. Yeah, it's real crazy contrast. Just these two worlds. It's like multiple, like as you said, it's like islands in South Africa that they, it's just inhabit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think rich people is the same. They have their huge mansions. That's just
in America they have these communities, the gated communities too, right?
Yeah, sure.
In Germany we don't have that really. I don't think. I don't know.
I don't think we have gated.
Do we have gated communities? I know we have like rich people, like areas where you're driving through and you see like, oh, it's a huge garden and there's a palace at the other side.
What is that called? Settlements? Are we calling that Siedlung, basically? There's a couple where just wealthier people live, because you have to be able to afford a house. And then you probably have to afford that kind of house, and very different classes of it, but I don't think I've seen an actual. But maybe it exists.
That we haven't seen it. It's not really proof that it doesn't exist. It's kind of made for that people like us can't see it. So.
Yeah, I don't know, there's something weird and uncomfortable about just that excess of power. I'm thinking in particular about the guy who finances everything in that movie, Billy Bob Thornton, whose son is annoying them because he's jealous, and he just lives on his ranch or something, and has billions and shit.
Now I get the fear.
And then he controls all these millionaires.
The other rich people, they don't feel threatening, but this dude, he knows he has this huge power, and
he owns
everything.
Not
afraid to use it.
He's a billionaire. That means he controls all the millionaires in that room who are already above most people. And then you have only a handful of those. Like the top 10 richest people. It's a different class of being completely, and that's so weird.
I mean, I know like two rich people, but they're not at that level. But they're like, are we gonna save up for a house? Yeah, you need like 800,000. That's not too much. Okay. All right. Sorry, I can't follow this discussion anymore. It's not really my world. And yeah, we have like kind of different classes. It's not really to the benefit of most people.
Yep. But yeah, so that's how I spent my week, getting into that, dreaming of a life in which I can just do what I want rather than having to do this.
I guess it's a kind of a segue to a movie I watched. It's on Netflix called Wish Dragon.
Wish Dragon.
Have you heard of that? I mean, you kind of forgot, obviously, because...
No.
I think I told you. That is kind of a Chinese version of Aladdin. So it's not like a retelling of the story. It's more that like the same story principle is there, and it plays in modern times and in China, in a city, and follows like two children, a girl and a boy, who like are really good friends, and they are they're both like weird and don't have any other friends, and then they are like have this perfect friendship, and then she has to move to the city. Like they are in the suburbs, kind of low income, and her dad works all the time, and she has to go with the dad to the city, and so their friendship breaks off. And he does like, he kind of wants the friendship to stay. He does university, but he doesn't have enough money, so he works on the side. And you don't really get to see a lot of her, but she's in the beginning. But she's a model now, and his dad is like head of a big company. They've got like huge money, and in China they have also like a huge wealth gap. You have the super rich people and lower class, basically. And he gets a magic teapot with a dragon, and the dragon gives him 3 wishes. It's really funny. I mean, the jokes are really good, like the comedy as well. I mean, you can see that it was made for a Chinese audience.
Yeah.
Because some of the I think a lot of the jokes are really specific for the culture. Like there's a lot of like cultural humor, like he has to have good grades or else like his mother hits him, and like the neighbors are all like very nosy, and they always want to hear what's going on there. And so it's all like almost like a little family there. And I quite like that. However, so when a movie starts, it starts with the Tencent logo. And when I see the Tencent logo, I always get a bit, I get like a bad feeling in my stomach. And I think partly that's just racism, because I don't get that when I see Disney or Sony or whatever else, like Warner. These are all the like, huge companies, Microsoft, whatever, that have way too much money. Though while like the Western companies, they have way too much influence on the governments. With Tencent, it's the other way around, where the government has a lot of influence on the company, and where it's kind of weird. I always have this feeling with Tencent movies that they have like this weird propaganda. It's not obvious, but like almost subconscious. Like I remember the Monster Hunter movie, it was also Tencent, where they have like a huge American plane thing, like these ultra huge, where you can drive with trucks in, and then like a dragon comes and grabs the wings and rips them off, and it felt like it's kind of mocking the US a little bit in the US Army. Definitely felt like that, and like the soldiers were all really unhappy with being in the military and stuff like that. So in this one, it's nothing military. There's no mocking of the US at all. But I mean, it's on the one hand, it's very conscious of the gap. But for me, it felt like the moral of the story is don't wish to have it better, because friends are the true wealth. And it's very, very...
Wonder Woman?
No, it's worse. It's very heavy-handed with that. I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but so in Wish Dragon, you basically, he's very hesitant to wish for anything. He's really like, he knows what he wants, he's doing his best, he feels like confident. His first wish is by accident, and it's so great how it turns out. And then like the dragon is always like pushing him to wish for gold, until like in the end, he's like on the verge of doing it, and then he's like, are you sure you really want to do that? And the whole movie is about that because he wants to meet his friend, and he just thinks like, if I get like in her world, because he can't, as a poor person, he can't get in there. He can't get in on her birthday because there's always security around. So he has to be like pretending to be rich, like Aladdin style, to get in there. But he thinks like she will understand what everybody else tells him, or I mean, mostly the dragon tells him that she won't really believe, she won't like be his friend if he isn't rich as well. But in the end, of course, as you can imagine, like that's not a spoiler, of course they, the wealth gap isn't the problem there. But I think it goes like a step farther and really underlines this, you don't need any money. You've got friendship, and that's why you shouldn't wish for money. And that felt really awful in the end. Like the whole movie up to that point feels really great, like a really imaginative new version of Aladdin, basically, but really with lots of Asian culture, which I find fascinating. That's what I liked about Raya and the Last Dragon the most. Like this richness of culture that is unfamiliar for me, and that's what we got there too. Yeah, but in the end, especially with the Tencent behind that felt really weird and left like a bad taste in my mouth. Still would recommend the movie, I think because it's really funny, like interesting, like cool character. Felt like a Pixar movie almost. Yeah.
Well, I've also watched something like that. I watched Paddington.
Nice. And
don't
let me down here.
No, they're very good. I would say
both. Have you watched both?
Yes.
Oh, I've watched the second one as well. No.
Well, the first one, I feel like, I don't know why you would watch it as an adult, but it's very good. It's a very good children's movie.
Yeah.
It's also very, very much a children's movie.
It is, yeah.
The second one is just a brilliant movie.
Yes. It's a perfect movie, right? It's like, what it wants to be, and it does everything right.
Yeah.
Especially like I don't want to spoil anything, but the Chekhov's gun, you know what I'm talking about? That in the very beginning, you don't know that it is. And it's kind of a joke, and it's shown again, and then in the end it's like important. Oh, yeah.
But now I'm not sure what you're talking about. The coin. Oh, right. I see.
And I felt like you're too good. You're too good at that. Like everything is set up.
Yes.
Nothing comes in the end. Like everything they showed you before plays a role, and it's like comes together in this perfect storm. What a great movie.
Yeah, I was mostly put off by that because I knew about the whole prison thing, and I was like, I don't know. But it works really, really well.
It does,
the whole thing is really, it's just a brilliant movie.
It's so lovely. So lovely. Lovely, silly, funny, perfect movie.
Yeah.
And I think with the first movie, you had like a lot of these movie references that you didn't have with the second one. I mean, you still had a few, but not as obvious. And I think the first movie, they knew this is a kids movie, and let's put something in for the parents as well, so they have fun. And the second, they were so confident, having like seen the how well received the first one was, that they didn't need these. That they were just like, let's do our thing.
I feel like they're doing kind of the same thing. Like you have repeating images, if you will.
You have, yeah.
But
not as. I mean, this is more like a reference to the first movie, right? It's not a.
Yeah. It's just basically doing the same. I mean, there's something kind of Mission Impossible-y in the first one. They do another version of that in the second.
It's very Mission Impossible. They even play the Mission Impossible theme.
Yeah, and they have that same thing, just in a different kind of way in the second one also.
Yeah.
And things like that. Well, it's all welcome callbacks.
So many good callbacks. I love like the introduction of all the characters again, and in the very beginning. Then just they all play a role, and they're just like coming together, and it's so lovely. I had so many tears in my eyes. The first one had me 2 tears. Second one, I was probably crying in the end. Such a good movie.
Yep, very much is. And yeah, and then I just watched a bunch of Miss Marple. There's like 4 movies with the only Miss Marple that I accept, Margaret Rutherford.
Oh yeah, different Miss Marples.
They have made many adaptations.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But you also mean like the kind of short, sturdy one.
That's the one I have in mind. Yeah, short, sturdy.
Yeah. In her 70s, kind of looks like the Queen. Yeah, that's Margaret Rutherford, and she has made 4 movies. I am just now in halfway through the 4th, and they're all very excellent. I'm enjoying them a lot.
It's great that they have her like as an. I mean, it's almost like it's progressive, right? It's a pretty progressive thing to have like this old character. It's a woman. She's really old. Like in most movies, she shouldn't be. She shouldn't really have to say anything, but she's like the active role in these. She drives the whole thing. I don't know. I haven't really watched a lot of that, but I mean, I remember like feeling really surprised by Grace and Jackie and Grace.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Grace and Frankie.
Grace and Frankie, right? That you have like a proper sitcom centered around like 2 old women and their old husbands, or mostly the women. And yeah, that feels like so refreshing and new, but it's not that refreshing. and I find it's not that it's refreshing because there still isn't much of that, but it's not new.
Yeah.
And in recent weeks, I've felt like I felt like we are giving ourselves sometimes too much credit for the progressiveness we have achieved now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love doing that just for the reason to say like it's getting better. See what and again, yeah, we have done a lot of progress, but it's not like how many people like to say that. Like that was a different time. Back then, nobody knew that like racism is bad. It's just, he's from the different times where racism was okay, so he can't stop doing that now. So leave him be. It's not the case. Like I think, obviously there wasn't such a wealth of like wholesome, good, non-racist stuff, non-sexist stuff in movies back then. But it's not that like the people weren't there already. And I think like people already knew. Of course, people already knew that racism and sexism is bad. I mean, you just have to listen to people to realize that. And yeah, it's just a system that didn't allow really these movies and series to be made. And now we've kind of a little bit of progress. Maybe it's not progress, but just like we see that and we pick it out and we like it. I mean, I guess we have progress now it's more progressive now because it's more of a social topic now, and like companies hop onto that train, and try to, put their rainbow flags everywhere to sell more products. It's not like really progressive, but it shows me that there has been a change somewhat. Rambling along.
Well, I think there has been a change, but I also think it hasn't been big at all. I think it has been very, very performative, because I think all these things are very performative. I know what you mean about this is the 60s and there's a series centered around an old woman who outsmarts everyone and she's the lead.
Exactly.
But she's the exception to the rule that proves it, basically. She's, because Agatha Christie was a Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, like successful author in Britain. Of course, they're gonna make her books into movies. I mean, they also did I think they did a lot more Hercule Poirot movies. At least I know many more of those. At least I haven't ever watched them because I'm a diehard Miss Marple fan, but I don't accept no. I mean, I've watched the Kevin Brenner Murder on the Orient Express. And I do like it. I do like that kind of thing. I think he does it very interestingly. It's kind of a neurodiverse character, which I think works well. Have you seen?
Quirky, right? Is he neurodiverse?
I think it's very, 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 very heavily implied in the text that he has autism of some sort.
Yeah, it's true.
He literally can't cope with the disorder of things. That's why he's so good at it. I think that's the angle that they're taking in there. Which is also nice because that's a positive portrayal of an autistic person without all the usual, oh my god, isn't that so sad thing that comes with that. Oh god. Yeah, but
it does give him his genius in remembering thing treatment, which is a stereotype as well. I guess it's a positive one, but still.
It's at least an interesting angle in the character. I mean, it's almost... Yeah, I mean, he is kind of a superhero in a way. That Sherlock Holmes type. Wait, wasn't it also the Watchmen guy's thing that he was so super smart? they decided to kill everyone.
No spoilers.
But anyway, but Miss Marple, yes, so that's the only character of that sort. It's not like suddenly all the things are like that.
Oh, okay.
And then we have, and I mean, we grew up with Pippi Langstrumpf.
Yeah.
Also a girl who was allowed to be stirring shit, but only Pippi Langstrumpf.
Well, yeah, sure, yeah. But I always believed that Pippi had like a huge influence on the German punk scene. Like, especially like women punks who were like, yeah, I'm gonna be like Pippi Langstrumpf. Fuck the...
Yeah, no, I mean, these things,
system.
they do good regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also the difficult relationship I have to Kim's Convenience, because it's still, even though I think it's kind of shit, it's still objectively better than none.
Yeah.
And it does a lot of good in many ways. You just then wish it would be better. But the thing is just, it's not like suddenly, because Pippi Langstrumpf was a success, suddenly women were allowed to lead roles, or that it changed anything in a significant way other than, see, here's that one example. You know, like when you talk about sexism in games and everybody's always like, Metroid? That was a game once.
Well,
point proven.
These are the people who completely forgot like that. I'm sure there was a backlash when they found out that she's supposed to be a woman.
Probably. I mean, one hopes that the culture wasn't at that point back then.
Probably just not connected enough.
Yeah.
I guess maybe for me, it often comes down to the change is probably just that we now have with the internet this connection that at one point, like, all the minorities can come together and say, like, wait a minute, we are all being treated badly. There's something wrong here with the system. But also, like, all the bigots get together and
this is so right.
Yeah, fight back against this progressive change. I mean, there has been, like, the last weeks has been a lot of that stuff again, like with these right-wing pundits, like these YouTube personalities. And I kind of hate and love, like, watching, like, the breadtubers get a rise out of them. I don't know if you've seen the Sam Cedar debates. Who was that? Maybe did I talk about that? I didn't talk about that. Right?
You talked about Ken Jebsen.
Oh, Ken Jebsen, yeah, it's also great, but it's something different. So I forgot the right-wing pundit's name, but he's like a weirdo. He's the Debate Me guy. Where there's this meme where he sits there and on a table and there's like, debate me.
What's his? Did you say his name or I asked him his name?
I don't.
Stephen Crowder.
Stephen Crowder, right, yeah. So he wanted to debate the H3 guy, who's called, what's his name again? But H3, you know, the podcast.
Oh, yes. I know, like, kind of brown, sort of short curly hair, sort of not curly,
and really weird dude. Like,
yeah,
really
I don't like
weird.
watching that.
Yeah, I'm not a fan either. And they've got their own problems for sure, but I think his heart is in the right place for most of it. But yeah, it's kind of Joe Rogan ascendant. Yeah. In any case, so Stephen Crowder wanted to debate him.
Yeah.
About because he said in his show in the H3, he said that, you know, just listen to the WHO. Just if they say you should get a vaccine, just do it. You know, you don't have to think too hard about that. If they say it's good, you can do it. You don't have to, like, it's all right. And then he wanted to debate him on that. If it's okay, if you should be skeptical of the vaccine and stuff. So he's a debater, but he said, yeah, okay, we can do that. And Sam Cedar, on the other hand, he hosts like a BreadTube news show called something. I don't watch him either, but he's a really cool guy. I just don't happen to watch him too much. And he wanted to debate Sam Cedar. Sam Cedar wanted to debate Steven Crowder at some point at some festival, and Steven Crowder, he said no, he's not gonna do that. And the people working at the festival told him, on the whatever that was, told him that he kind of got cold feet. That's why they called him Cold Feet Crowder. And so so the H3A3 guy said yeah to the debate, and then Sam Cedar has a live show at that same time. So they did a recording to play instead of the live show. So Steven Crowder doesn't believe that Sam Cedar is available at that point, and Sam Cedar was like, that's bullshit. I don't think he's that paranoid about it. And then Steven Crowder appeared. It was like he began his thing, and the H3 guy was like, I'm sorry, I'm not a debater, but I prepared. And then he switches over to Sam Cedar, and Steven Crowder just loses it. He's not able to really discuss anything with him. He gets really nervous, like really weird, and he changes the camera angle to his co-host, who wasn't even at that position, who just had to walk in there, so he can, I don't know, collect himself or whatever, and then they just shout a little bit for like 10 minutes and then disconnect. So Cold Feet Crowder strikes again, and Sam Cedar made a couple of really good videos about that. It's really fun to watch if you're like me. I don't know, enjoy that sort of thing. Yeah. So I think like again, internet connection. That's the difference we've got now. Like people were as progressive as we are now. It's just that now it's easier to kind of give people the information what to look out for and how to progress. Woke. Yeah.
Well. So what have you been playing? I feel like you said you played something.
Yeah. So I've continued playing Mutant Year Zero. Still having lots of fun. Kind of, again, like a little regret with the skills. But I would have had to redo what I already redone, plus a little bit more to switch that skill. Ultimately, I'm not happy with the way the skills work there. It's really not, I mean, they are not good explained. And then you've got like this weird system where you've got like 3 slots. And, each, I don't know, do you want to open that?
Open it.
So we can have a look at the skills. Oh, did we do that last time? I don't remember.
I guess we can look at it. But also, hello, Friedrich.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Yeah, let's have a look at the game. So again, Mutant Year Zero is turn-based, post-apocalyptic, squad-based role-playing game. Though it's kind of light on the role-playing. It's centered around the combat, basically. Yeah, you're never really that focused on something. Yeah, that's how you see most of it. So you see in the upper left corner, you've got like your characters. Everything looks a bit different. I don't know what these at the top are. Must be the console version or something. In any case, so you've got like your boar, your duck, and your woman. She got horns. You just can't see it on the portrait. They're all mutants. Have like special stuff. You can like walk. Every character has got 2 actions. She can walk and then shoot. You can't, like, if you shoot, that's your whole turn. But you can walk and then shoot, or walk and throw a grenade, for example. I don't know what. Okay, that's a bit weird. I don't know that. It looks like a preview. The game looks a bit different now. I don't think it's the right one, but if you search for skills, maybe skill tree, or maybe just ducks, like duck and S and skills, 0 skills.
0.
Yeah, that works.
This?
So yeah, if you can make this big. Yeah.
Oh. I guess not.
Yeah. So what you got there, if you look there very closely, you can see in the mutations you've got rectangles, what's that, hex grid, and a circle.
Yeah.
And these are the three. So you can have 3 things active. The circles are always passive. The rectangles and the hex thingies are always active. So, for example, this it's not. Yeah, and the stats boosters on the right side are also passive, but I haven't reskilled anything there. But if you see, like the next you can activate is these wings that allow you to fly somewhere. Pretty cool. So now you have like the first one that's it's a boost, so you always do critical damage if you shoot. You can use that, and if you use that, you need to kill, I think, 2 or 3 guys to enable that again, so you can't do it all the time. The same with the wings, and then you've got like 2 different ways to go. The right one is a passive that gives you 25% range increase, while the left one is again an active ability that allows you to disable electrical enemies. There are some bots there. And then both of them come together in the middle to give you, I think, a 50% critical chance increase if you shoot from high ground out. So I've taken the range increase, but now I realize that the other one in the middle is better. So I've got that now, so the range increase doesn't really help me. If I had taken instead the disable thingy, I could change it up, because if your shooting thingy is used up and you need 3 kills to enable it again, you can switch it up with a different skill but you have to go in the inventory and change the skill. I'm not even sure if they regenerate if you don't have them active, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think that would give me more possibilities. But like going back to change that is a bit much, and using now 6 points to have the possibility is kind of weird too, because I'd rather like invest them in the stat boosts on the right. So yeah, feels kind of bad. I mean, I don't really like that method of using like. It's really weird because yeah, it takes a while until you get like your passive, the circles, and until you've skilled something like that, you can't use the slot for that, so you're weaker. So when I was at the point where I took the range increase, that was a good choice for the time. But now that I've got the next one, it's kind of, it replaces the other one. So it doesn't feel like it increased my space, my design space, but it didn't like give me something additional. It just gave me something I can use or maybe not, depending on what I like. So I don't know. It doesn't give me the same feeling I have like in other role-playing games where I can each upgrade gives you something new, without taking something away from you. So it's a curious choice to do it like that. I mean, of course, it's kind of fun to think through the different builds you can do with this. That is fun, but I don't know. It's a weird restriction. I don't really get it why that's how I should do it. But yeah, there's ducks like the character. I really like that they are like so imaginative. It's not just like gritty guys like in most post-apocalyptic games, but it's a duck. I really enjoy that. Yeah, so on the second game, so I play that when I still got like the energy to think, and the second game I play now, there we need to see a picture as well, is Gris. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It's GRIS. And that is just a really, really beautiful game. It was free, I think, on the Epic Store as well. Yeah, it's got a really nice trailer too. Yeah. I just watched the trailer. I mean, the art is just amazing. The only downside that it's really light on gameplay.
Okay.
So it's kind of a platformer, but there's not much you can do. I think that's like one of the first levels. I can't fly yet. I've played like half an hour just like being able to fly. Now you could see like that was the ability I got like after an hour of gameplay. Yeah, that is stuff that will come like later on, I think. In the beginning, it's a lot of just walking to the right. It's just walking and looking at the nice backgrounds, and it's really got great camera work as well. Like if something bigger and newer gets into your field of view, it zooms back so you can see the whole thing. And then, like, depending on what you need, it zooms in and out again. It's really great. Like, the animation is perfect. And it's a great game to play, like, late at night if you're, like, completely out of it. You can't think straight anymore. So you just basically walk to the right, watch some cool backgrounds. And at some point, yeah, I guess you get additional abilities. So I've got like my first now after an hour, which I think is a bit late. So if you're really looking for gameplay like a cool platformer, that's the wrong game. But if you're looking for a chill, beautiful, really beautiful platformer, then this is a really great game. It's incredibly beautiful. I think it's a really good game to get people into games, because it's really slow with the abilities and stuff. Like at first you can just jump, and it's really easy to manage. There are a couple of, like, as you see in the trees in the beginning, where you've got to time the jumps right. So it's a really gentle difficulty spike, and then afterwards you get the ability to become like a square that's really heavy. And there are a couple of puzzly sections where you have to destroy stuff. I think that's like one of the best introductions for people to games, especially I think girls, because yeah, it's beautiful. You've got a female main character. Yeah. It's really trippy. So yeah, amazing game. But yeah, so yeah, I played like I think the first half hour when I got it, like, I don't know, a year ago, but then stopped. And I think I saw here Wiebke Hexenberg. She also played like half an hour or something and stopped then. Because if you're like a hardcore gamer like me, then you feel like, it's kind of boring. There's not a lot to do. You're just walking there. Just watching the trailer now, I just realized like how much more is to come there, like additional abilities and stuff. But at that point, I thought like, is this like a walking simulator platformer where I'm just walking? I mean, it's beautiful, but it's not really. It's not a challenge. But I guess it doesn't have to be. It's now I've really fallen in love with it. It's really beautiful. I think I will continue playing with it. Have you played anything?
Nope.
You haven't played anything?
Nope. Just Entourage.
Just Entourage. Well, have I watched anything else? I think I've watched something.
Did you?
Yeah. Paddington, Wish Dragon. There was something else I put down.
I don't know.
Have you seen the toys? Oh, no.
Not yet. We're working on it.
I think I gotta put that on my list or I'll forget it. I think there's a cat here. Was your sister here?
Yep.
Toys, right? Toys. Yeah. Okay. Toys. On the list. What else would I be watching?
I don't know.
But have you seen the video I posted on the Discord about languishing? That's something
I'm familiar with the concept, though.
Yeah, you are? I think you confuse it with longing at first. Languishing. Can you tell me what the translation of languishing is? Languishing is in German?
Dahinsiechen.
Dahinsiechen. Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
I don't know if that's the correct.
But it fits what this video is about, and it makes an interesting point about. It says like it's the blah. It's the name of the blah you're feeling, and it really fits. I think what I've experienced now after the wizard isn't like really the main. I guess it's still my focus, but I'm not really that. I don't spend that much time right now working on it. I like more like about my life and like self-care and stuff like that. But yeah, I feel this. It's not depression. But I'm not striving either. Like, I mean, today I am, but like the days before, I get out of bed and I kind of need to force myself to do my yoga thing and meditate and stuff. And I kind of want to be like, get out of bed and be like happy. Maybe it's too much to ask. Like, I feel like I'm thankful for the day and not like I'm kind of need to fight my way out of bed. I just like get out of bed and then I sit on my couch and scroll through Reddit, and then before I get like the energy to actually do anything. Yeah, and I think that's the languishing thing. And she recommended flow. So the more you are in a flow state regularly, the less this is a problem. So I thought for a while that this like always wanting to be like productive, and I guess that is like a problem that's just forced upon us from a capitalist system, yada yada. But I never quite had the feeling that this is completely true. I mean, obviously, that's what the capitalist system does, but I also think that there's something in us that wants to be productive, that wants to create, to do stuff. And yeah, I've increased like my work hours on the Wizard last couple of days. And I think it helps. I think just having like a goal in front of you can work to, and regularly working on it. And I mean, it doesn't have to be like work. It can, she says, can be like reading or painting. It's that you have to get lost in something, that you feel like you are. I think I need to feel like I'm progressing at something. If I'm not like progressing, I feel like I'm stagnating. If I'm just watching movies, I need to watch new movies to progress through the movies. I can't just rewatch stuff. That sounds too depressing for me. Yeah. What's your thought on that?
Well, I don't think that... No, the thing that bothers me about, this whole setting goals and getting into the workflow type thing.
That's something else, but yeah, continue. I don't think that's the same thing.
How?
I think that it intersects.
No, that I'm talking about what you just said. And that's what you just said.
No, I did not.
You did talk about setting goals and increasing hours and stuff.
No, I said that I enjoy having like something to work towards, a goal, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like setting goals.
Oh, how is it different?
Well, if you're like every morning you get up and you set goals for the day, that is setting goals.
Mm-hmm.
While just having
finishing
the Wizard as a goal that you're working towards, it's something different. You do see the difference in that, right?
Yeah, but that has always been your goal. So
yeah, but I didn't really have, like in the last weeks, I didn't really see it as a goal that much, to be honest. It wasn't like on my mind as something I was more concentrated on just like living.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. And I think that setting yourself a goal to not do that is not as good.
Well, it was good for a while, but then I did feel like stagnating.
And but that's because of the system we live in that doesn't let you. What's bad about stagnating?
I don't think that's true.
What's bad about stagnating? Why is it a bad thing?
It doesn't feel good.
Why doesn't it feel good?
I don't know. I like doing stuff.
Do you like it?
Stuff. Yeah.
Or have you been taught to like it?
No, I think I honestly like it.
And see, that's what I don't think. I think, of course, it's fun to finish things, but if you have the need to do it, and you can't, because I think
don't have the need to do it, right?
Well, a little bit. If you feel bad about not doing it, and you feel like there's something wrong about just being, then obviously...
Exactly. That's what I got rid of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the case that I have right now. I'm not feeling bad anymore about not working a day or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get rid of this dreaded feeling that really didn't help me be productive at all. It just like hindered me and like increased my procrastination. But now that I'm free of that, I'm still I'm looking for something to put my time and like my concentration into. It's something I wanted. It doesn't have to be work, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just something I enjoy. I enjoy working on the wizard. So that's why I increased that. But I mean, back in the day, I would like build magic decks, for example. Or like the last days, I just built playlists, for example. And it's just like going in the flow, like listening to music, putting that in playlist, losing track of time. And that was a really empowering and enjoyable time for me. And that gave me energy and helped me like see or like feel productive. Or it's not about I think that's the wrong word. It's just just a purpose. Maybe it gave me kind of a purpose. I knew I had like this goal of this playlist I want to finish.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked on that, and it was effort. I put time into it, but I'm really happy about it now. And I had a lot of fun then, and I definitely lost the track of time a couple of times. And yeah, it made me get up this morning in anticipation, like, great, I can work some more on the playlists, and then I have to like do some other stuff, and then everything got kind of tight to get here in time, because again, I lost a little bit track of time working on the playlist, and I think that is something inherent. That's not the system.
I think it can be both, because
it can be, yeah.
I mean, I've also been working a lot on like an editor for a text adventure engine that I did a while ago, that runs in like actual original DOS, probably other things because it's written in C. So I'm working on an editor, and then for the last week I've been working on it every day. That's also why I haven't played much, because I was working. And of course it's something that I want to do, that I've been wanting to do. So that part is there, but also why I'm much happier in a way, or like less stressed doing that instead of just lying around and watching TV like I also love to do, is because of that internalized thing of that I'm only valid when I'm productive. And so yes, I'm doing something that I actually want to do, but I also want to do it because I have to, but I also make the best compromise, and in the end all that matters is that
you don't have to do that, right? Nobody is actually giving you credit. It's not a productive thing that anyone...
No, I mean, in the end, it's all about convincing myself that I can like myself. Yeah. And I can do most. I can do that most. Or I can do it more calmly, I suppose, when I do it in the way that I was trained to focus on the productivity. That I feel less like I had that I'm less proud of myself when I just took a day to just relax. Even though I did something good for myself, I don't see it that way. I'm only proud of myself if I did something according to the system, even if I wanted to do it.
Yeah, see, I think there is like, it can be both. And I think in most cases it is both. And I'm sure you've got like a very special arrangement because of your inner feeling about that you feel worth only if you do something, and I have that as well. I don't think I have it as bad.
I think you have it worse.
Maybe I have it worse, but I think it still is like an inherent thing. I think that if you like do something and you finish it, that your body is just normally like putting all the good hormones like serotonin, just like that. This is like something that we are built to. We are built to do stuff. I mean, we wouldn't have survived back in the day when just lying around was the best thing. So I think that having something to like, also like this inherent human propensity to be like creative, to build stuff, to try stuff, I think is it's built in, and I think feeding that is a healthy part of living.
And I think, but what you just described is that it's built in because we were forced to build it in. That's even in the anything. If you just lie around, you're gonna die. That was basically your point right now, right?
Yeah, but that's how it is, like from the beginning of humans, how it was. You couldn't lie around; you would just die then.
Yeah, but that's not an enthusiastic consent to having to do things to survive. It's just what you were forced to do
by nature.
It doesn't matter who forces you, but the thing is you are forced. And now we are having more and more a system that takes over the force, although it's no longer necessary because we have all the resources and all the automation, all the tools to do this better, but we still want to force each other. Well, not each other. We're mostly being forced to keep those rich people rich. And sure, we can find a way to like make the best compromise. But I don't know if I had never met the concept of work. I don't know if I would sit here and from my own will decide, actually, I want to force myself to sit down 4 hours a day to do one task that I kind of like. I mean, why wouldn't I just work whenever I feel like working? And then it's not work because that's what I feel like doing. And other days, and why is taking care of yourself and resting, recovering, like feeding your brain with interesting new impulses, what entertainment media is, at least the kind that we usually like to consume, something that tickles the brain in some way. Why is that then viewed as lost time where we didn't whatever, when it's really us taking good care of ourselves, but only the work that we do that produces value in the capitalistic sense is the thing where we say, now I get to be proud of myself today.
That's certainly true. That you're conflating a couple of things now that aren't really what I'm talking about. I think like how I understand evolution and nature. Like an animal that grows up, like you're built to feed yourself, to fight for yourself, like to.
Sure.
And humans are built for like increasing, like building stuff, like progressing. That's just like, that's why we are so efficient or like so successful, is because like nature or like we inherited, like evolution imbued us with this interest and will to improve our surroundings, to explore our surroundings, to create stuff. And this is, I think, the natural way. And I think we all have that. And on top, we've got the society who forces us into like jobs that aren't really that, that force us into work that doesn't really fulfill these feelings. And I mean, I'm at a point where I could like let go of all of that. I did, and this feeling of like wanting to do something, I think that's not the society's pressure I feel anymore. I think I can distinguish society's pressure, which I sure still feel, and my inner motivation to do stuff.
I think that's a very complicated thing to untangle, and I think that's particularly one where, well, one should assume that we have no idea why we want the things that we want, because it is a super complex thing where we're being influenced in very many ways.
I don't know. I mean, don't you think that it just feels different if it comes from the outside or if it comes from the inside?
Well, I think there's degrees to in which ways it does that, because, I mean, we are being programmed in a way. right? When we're born, we have a certain kind of operating system.
Yeah, we have like our base programming. That's what
Yes.
you're talking about, right?
And base programming, I think, to me, is just stay alive. And there's a couple of markers in which we determine how safe we are. One of them is community and family. And
You
all
know
that
the hierarchy of needs, like, right?
Mhm.
It's like safety, food, housing, and then creative output.
That's a more complex thing already. I'm just talking from the base programming because I think the base programming doesn't include.
I think
that.
that's the base programming.
I think the base programming is survival. And if we had a system in which survival wasn't threatened at all, I think it would be very, very different expressions of how people can be. But because it is threatened, and because I don't think we have an inherent need to progress and to improve and stuff. I think we're just good problem solvers. And we see problems and we solve them. That problem of, shit, we keep dying out in the cold, so let's build a house so we don't, type of a thing. And it just keeps going and going on. We do this. I think the progress just happens as a result of that. You notice, okay, this work that we're doing, it takes forever. How about we solve that problem, we automate it, type of a thing. But it's more because we want to solve problems than... basically, the creativity, I think, is a side effect of that. And I do think that our motivation to do anything comes back down to that basic need of survival. Of I need to... And of course, we are being raised in a world where we don't have to, but we are being raised to earn our survival. And so we accept that as reality, just as we accept that if I drop this bottle, it's going to fall down. That's just how it works. But that's just how it works. It's not actual natural law. It's a social construct. And of course, if we're being basically brainwashed into this thinking, then we're going to have a whole range of expression of adhering to that system, completely unawares that this part... I know that my own creativity comes from trying to gain that security by communicating something about myself that I just feel like if people understood me, they would treat me better, type of thing. I think that's where my art comes from, trying to explain myself in a way that I can't with words. And then, of course, trying to earn money so that I earn the right to eat and have shelter and things like that. And yeah, sure, when I then sit down and I feel good about myself for working through a difficult problem, it's because it's at least still a version of that, even if I do it on my terms, on something that's so niche that there will never be money in it. I'm still kind of doing a shadow version of what I've been taught and being productive in that way, rather than being productively restful or something. Because I think that's a thing we just have been taught out of.
But I do feel productively restful. I can feel that. It's not always the case. And you're certainly right about all that. You know, it's more a question about like what's under this programming of society. Is it what this survival part? What does it entail? Does it entail? Is just food everything we need?
No,
because I don't think that's the case. I think we do need, for example, we have a need to connect with other people, and I think your art isn't like wanting to be understood. Is not just like programming because you're afraid that you will be like ostracized and that you will die if nobody understands you. I think it's a deeply inherent like pre-programming, like this is like something you're made to want to get, basically understanding. That's why it feels good to be understood.
But I have that need for it because I didn't have it. Because my parents didn't understand me, and because I never felt understood. That's why I'm probably also talking so much, because I'm trying to be very precise about what I'm trying to say, so that no one can find something to, and all that stuff. And I think that, if I had a loving family, maybe I would still want to do that, but I would probably have less of a need to prove myself or like to communicate myself in that way.
You would already have it, right? You have your parents. You can talk with them about everything. Maybe.
Yeah, I already feel valid and complete and stuff, and maybe I would want to share that. But right now I'm not making much sharing out, but please understand me out, basically. In a way.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't know. I wouldn't be so sure about how different things would, like, what are your base needs and what are like your needs you've got now because your upbringing kind of fucked you up. Mm-hmm. I think it's hard to distinguish these two, and I'm not sure if I'm completely right, of course. It's just my feeling right now is that I have this genuine need to do stuff that's not the same kind of need I had like a couple of years ago when I felt like I need to be productive, because my need back then was to create something that is financially viable. Mm-hmm. That was the main concern, I guess. Mm-hmm. While now I just want to express myself, I guess. It just feels nice to make a playlist with a certain mood, or to fix a problem in the game, or to add a feature. Like, I want this game to do something specific, or I want this game to not do something horribly wrong. And doing that fulfills me in a way I think is genuinely like the base healthy need that I'm fulfilling, and not the programmed society wants you to be always productive. Because I'm pretty aware that this, what I'm doing right now, isn't really bringing us more people. Like, I mean, yeah.
Well, what I was just thinking is, it's basically, I believe you that you think that, but from over here it looks sort of like in Sin City when Nancy wants to get with Bruce Willis. I'm sure she 100% believes that she's in love with him and that she has good reason.
It's really condescending what you're saying, you know that.
I don't have to say. That's clearly a traumatized person.
Yeah, I guess.
And I think you're also a very traumatized person from all this violence that we experience, basically. And that it's therefore difficult to say that has nothing to do with that.
I certainly cannot argue with that, right? There's nothing I can say that really, can prove that this is not the case. But I would encourage you to think that maybe, having your own trauma so central to your life makes you look for these explanations more. I don't think I really don't think I've lived to the same trauma or the amount of trauma that you did, and I think you tend to project that on me because it kind of fits, but I don't think it's really fitting in this case. But
you have perpetual Stockholm syndrome, and this is part of that, I think. That's why I'm trying to talk you out of that, because I'm not against you working. I'm against you justifying old patterns by saying, oh, now I'm doing it in a healthier way. That you're putting yourself under the same kind of pressure. But because that's kind of been your pattern.
You're very cautious about that. And I think you're not really, I think you're maybe overcautious to a point where you're not really understanding what I mean there. But I think we're a little bit in a deadlock here. Because you don't believe me because it's my trauma talking. I don't believe you because it's your trauma talking. Yeah. but I don't know. Maybe we can come together in that this is a really interesting thing to think about. In any case, and yeah. And yeah, sorry, Friedrich. Let's not overthrow nature. I think we're already doing that, and it's not turning out to be great.
So, do we have anything else, or is this pretty much us? Because I'm running dry.
I still think I've watched some movie. Oh, yes, of course.
Oh.
Right. I started, it's nothing big, so I started watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventures again. It's an anime series, and like coming from these 80s animes, this is a really good bridge, I guess. I think I get this now more. Although, you know, it's partly just getting used to the problems, I guess, and I don't know, partly finding them amusing, maybe even. I really love like how colorful it is, and what? Oh, okay.
Just taking some things out that you didn't know about.
Nice. And right, so I'm now at a point, like this is the second generation JoJo. So like the old JoJo died, and his son, who was saved by his mom, is now old and grown, and like the old, I guess, like enemies reawaken. Like these are like stone men who now, the pillar men who now come out of stone, and they want to fight the sun or something. And you can like with the 80s, and like all the really strong people have the exact same build. Like JoJo has the same build as his buddy he gets together with. They're all like super buff, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. That's basically the buddies they have, and I love that it's really flamboyant. Although it's not like, positively, it's got some homophobia like underneath, and it's so sexist again, unfortunately. Yeah, Fist of the North Star, exactly. I watched that, exactly. The movie I watched. That's way weird, like. But JoJo's got the very same energy. It's pure, I guess. It's a more potent version of that. They are like always like they're fighting a lot, and they all have like their special powers. Like at this point, I know at some point they can summon like ghosts or something, but now they just have like Hamon, which is kind of like ki. They can put it into stuff to make it hard, or to hit people ultra hard and stuff like that. So, and highlight is JoJo meets a guy he's supposed to collaborate with. I think he's called Caesar. Yeah, Caesar. In Rome, of course. And they don't like each other at first, because Caesar is like this huge Casanova. And Caesar mocks JoJo and says to him, even like somehow he somewhere he gets a woman and he kisses her just like out of the blue, and she's like, oh, what's happening to me? And then he says like, even this woman could fight you and can like defeat you, JoJo. And JoJo said, oh, even this pigeon could defeat you. So Caesar loads the woman up with Hamon and makes her fight JoJo. Like she can't control her body, like he does that. And he's like choking him, and he's like, kind of losing, and he's lying on the floor, and Caesar goes to this woman and kisses her again, and then has a pigeon in his mouth, because what Jojo did, he put a pigeon in the mouth of the woman because he knew he would kiss her again as some sort of revenge. And I'm thinking, like, this is the only woman I've seen in this episode thus far, and you are honestly using her as a prop for a fight between these two buff dudes about who's like the more macho guy. Mm-hmm. And I coming from Fist of the North, this is kind of, it's obviously incredibly offending, but it's kind of humorous as well in its weirdness that it's so unaware of what it's doing. I don't know. That's, I guess, what I have to say about JoJo. I think I'm going to continue watching it. It's still got like Roundabout as an outro, which is just awesome song. And I kind of enjoy this honest machismo fantasy weirdness they've got going there, especially like with the really flamboyant thing that they're really not afraid of, like colors and stuff, and it's not dark and gritty, it's the opposite. So Friedrich says he watched a single episode of JoJo and it was both the best and the worst parts of battle mangas distilled. Yeah, that's what it is. And if you watch it on Netflix, you're gonna start with the I think it's like 30s or something, or like 1700, 1800s, something, 1900s maybe, like early stuff. Mm-hmm. And it's got a kind of cool story with a lot of weird fighting and like, I don't know, buff dudes. But it's got kind of a good compelling story, and it's surprising that it has that, I think. But the characters are all really simple. I don't know, coming from these 80s trash violence sex movies, I found a new appreciation of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, I guess. Yeah. And I think that's it.
That's it. Okay. Then I guess we'll call it a day here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, and I guess that's one more time just us.
Like and subscribe.
Alright, I guess I'm gonna do the...
Join our Discord, right.
Do the thing. For all the people who aren't in it yet. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Well then, thank you very much. Have a nice evening, and we'll see you next time. Bye!